Let me introduce myself. The ocean, where I live, is an enormous buffet table for everything in it and for many land animals, including humans. When you think of the ocean food web, you might think of fierce great white sharks devouring their prey, or enormous blue whales gulping tons of krill. Or you might think of giant stands of seaweed being devoured by everyone like an underwater salad bar. But did you know that more than 90% of all sea creatures end up being eaten by other sea creatures? That means that almost every organism in the ocean ends up getting eaten by another sea creature at some point or other. And almost every sea creature eats other sea creatures. But there is one little organism that almost always gets eaten but does not actually eat anything itself. It is the most microscopic species in the ocean, yet it forms the center of the ocean's food web. Some people might think it's a raw deal to be food for everybody else without getting to eat anybody in return, but I find it to be quite a powerful job. Let me back up and introduce myself properly. Phytoplankton is my name. I'm an algae, which is almost like a very tiny plant. But unlike plants, I have no roots, so I'm not attached to the ground or seafloor. I'm free to float around with the ocean currents. I prefer to remain near the surface of the sea, since I'm quite fond of sunlight, and I can be found in every ocean on Earth. Like plants, I make food through a process called photosynthesis, rather than eating it. I use chlorophyll to capture the sun's energy and use it to convert minerals and nutrients from seawater into food. Just as in plants, chlorophyll makes me green. But I'm so tiny that you can only see the color when there are billions upon billions of us in one place.
The Amazing Undersea Food Web, written by Penny Atchison and Eliza Fox. Since the ocean, where I live, is an enormous buffet table for everything in it and for many land animals, including humans. When you think of the ocean food web, you might think of fierce great white sharks devouring their prey, or enormous blue whales gulping tons of krill. Or you might think of giant stands of seaweed being devoured by everyone, like an underwater salad bar. But did you know that more than 90% of all sea creatures end up being eaten by other sea creatures? That means that almost every organism in the ocean ends up getting eaten by another sea creature at some point or another. And almost every sea creature eats other sea creatures. But there's one little organism that almost always gets eaten but does not actually eat anything itself. It's the most microscopic species in the ocean. Yet it forms the center of the ocean's food web. Some people might think it's a raw deal to be food everybody else without getting to eat anybody in return. But I find this to be quite a powerful job. Let me back up and introduce myself properly. Phytoplankton is my name. I'm an algae, which is almost like a very tiny plant. But unlike plants, I have no roots, so I'm not attached to the ground or seafloor. I'm free to float around with the ocean current. I prefer to remain near the surface of the sea, since I'm quite fond of sunlight, and I can be found in every ocean in Earth. Like plants, I make food through the process called photosynthesis, rather than eating it. I use chlorophyll to capture the sun's energy and use it to convert minerals and nutrients from seawater into food. Just as in plants, chlorophyll makes me green. But I'm no tiny that you can't only see the color when there are billions upon billions of us in one place.
The title of the book is The Grandmother. My favorite character in the story is the grandmother because the grandmother was a giant reptile. Its wings open as wide as a small chocolate. Take a look.